Hello everyone, and welcome to part 22 of my Bloodborne effective run, lecture building part 2. Today we're going to be revisiting the lecture building and tackling the second floor. I'm going to talk more about the lore of it and, future conditions of the channel. First of all, I have actually garnered a little bit of attention, probably thanks to the Reddit post I made on ROM, and received some comments in the YouTube feed and slightly more views, which I never really understood why YouTubers ask for you to like, comment, and subscribe beyond the marketing point of it. But I get it. I definitely it made my day to hear from you, viewers. So, if you do want to comment on my videos, I do actually quite like the interaction. It's pretty fun. So thank you. Secondly, I'm no longer going to go out of my way to point out when bloodstone chunks are available, and you're about to see why. Bloodstone chunks are now available for insight purchase. So, if you have lots of Madman's knowledge, or you want to do cooperative play, or go into the Chalice dungeons, at this point, you can, very easily farm the insight from bosses in cooperative play or PvP and purchase chunks. We also have our +9 weapon and a +8 weapon, and you're probably just going to naturally come across the chunks you want or need at this point. And, so that's why I'm not going to be pointing them out anymore.
Welcome home, good hunter.
But as I was saying, I really didn't expect to enjoy it that much. So, very much thank you for being here and commenting on my video. I also want to talk about the Gay for Games comments I made in the episodes earlier about how I could potentially work with them. They're actually a much larger channel than I anticipated. In retrospect, it was a silly thing to mention or even consider. I definitely enjoy their channel, but I don't think I'm large enough to take notice of from their perspective. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So I have seeded the blood gems in my weapon now, and also the runes I'm wanting to use. We will be picking up a couple more blood gems along the way, and I'll point out a good place to farm them soon after Mikolash. Everything in the game at this point, once you defeat Rom, kinda the best thing to do is to go beat Mikolash. Just beeline for it if you want, sprint for it, or you can take your time, but still I recommend taking a direct path there rather than take any detours like we have previous in the game. And here's me confusing the positioning of blunt and thrust on my Ludwig's Holy Blade. So without further ado, let's make it on over to the lecture building and discuss that. The lecture building is a representative of I would say the Bergenworth rooms, because the outfits they're wearing are the same as the Bergenworth student outfits that you can have there. And the School of Mensis, or College of Mensis, or whatever it is a splinter off of the Bergenworth Scholars, I believe. I could be wrong. And then we have another group that we've unlocked the key to, which is the choir, which is a doubling down on the teachings of Bergenworth, even more so, in efforts to make contact with the Great Ones with that small splinter. We'll go over that in more detail later. As far as things to do, there are a few chunks, and there's a rune we can get here by saying hello to our friendly neighborhood patches. Oh, and we finally find that door that I have been looking for in the previous visit here that I couldn't find. They still like to play that prank of chilling on the ceiling, but they're doing it in a slightly different spot to throw you off guard here. Let's see if we let's see how I react to him. I just run right on past. Didn't really stand a chance. Takes 3 quick hits, and one-on-one, a hunter's going to win that fight. But yeah, I don't know where in the College of Bergenworth this could be. Maybe in the underground section. That's the only thing I could figure. Because there's not really any doors that correspond with this into the college itself to make physical sense with where these rooms could exist or could have existed within Bergenworth. You know, like there's that underground section, but it also goes back to that thought of, you know, Bergenworth was unfinished, and they clearly designed the and wanted to use the lecture building outside of that. There's definitely some, you know, precedence for it because this is an imaginary school building. It's not real in the same sense of the physical world it takes in. It's very real to us as we are in the dream experiencing it, and it can kill us and gives us blood echoes and items, similar to how the hunter's dream can give us our first weapon. But I guess we can excuse away the lack of physical making sense here with it's all a dream scenario here. So for those who don't know what's going on, this is similar to the getting sucked in by the great one earlier, where we ended up fighting Amygdala and we got on the first floor of this building. We took a different entrance in. The implication there is that potentially the person we entered into the dream through might have channeled and connected with an Amygdala, or just straight up become one. Because it takes you to the same place, just a slightly different entrance. So it could be the same person with different entrances in their lives, or they've communed with that Amygdala to help them host this other reality within a nightmare. And this could be our gosh, there's a version of it in the Matrix. This could just be our method to get into a multitude of nightmares. In this case, in the game of Bloodborne 2, but in the true implications of it, every door could be a different reality that leads to a different place. Because while the lecture building, first floor and second floor, are certainly the same place, the what's the word for it? The other nightmares, the Nightmare of Mensis and the Nightmare Frontier, are definitely not. They have different physical properties. They're similar, but one's a poison swamp, and the other's well, you should run also. As in the case of most poison swamps. I was hoping to get both of them there, and I didn't. But I kind of, it's an interesting thing to consider. There's I think it's either the second Matrix movie or the third Matrix movie, but Neo goes into a hallway in the Matrix with a locksmith of some sort. It's been a long time since I watched these movies, so I apologize. But the hallway is filled with doors, and the doors each lead to a different reality or a different section or room or entrance into the Matrix. And this has a very similar motif to it, in that idea that I think the lecture building kind of serves that same role. So for instance, this could be technically the same classroom, but one has no students in it, well, the one student now, and the other has lots of students in it, so different time of day. It also could just be an identical classroom across the way from the way it's currently represented. But the idea that each doorway leads to a different reality is kind of neat, or another end of that reality, or another time of that reality, and that really fits in pretty deeply with the Bloodborne lore. Now, I also, just to warn you, if you're getting in an argument with somebody over the lecture building, I don't know if I should be cited. I'm currently just speculating, talking out of my ass, so to speak. So all of this is pretty much just pure conjecture on my part. There's no I have no evidence or item descriptions to back up my thoughts here, just observations of how the entrances, and specifically the two major exits, behave. This guy, I don't know if we can get the crit on him or not. I don't know if he's got a move that makes his knee pop out, but he's definitely quite more dangerous than the other giant church hunters we fought, because his moves are not as easy to just see and counter, and he's got a lot more recovery. Time to say hello to a friend, we'll call it.
This cannot be. You cannot be. No, you didn't. Lord Amygdala? Oh, how did this come to pass? Now, wait just a moment. Do you think ill of me? Me? Oh, it pains me to hear it. You've made yourself a misreckoning. I shared with you a thing most secret. Now, you're witness to a miracle, and all the stronger for it. It's plain as a pikestaff. Now, say in my heart, you were as a lamb to my God. Well, you weren't to know, and it wasn't for you to know. All's well that ends well, I say. No matter. Such details are trifling. We're fast friends by now. Let this express what words cannot. Oh, doubt me not, sweet compeer. What is friendship but a chance encounter? Ah, well met. My apologies, but I feel a profound thought occurring on the good grace of a certain God and the way he meted out his love. Ah, well met.
Now, if you have any inkling at all to go diving into Chalice Dungeons, you want to be a tomb prospector, anything like that, do not kill Patches. He can be a lifesaver if you find yourself in a Chalice Dungeon and have a hard time. We finally found that key. Because he will show up in Chalice Dungeons at this point and be a merchant. I don't know if there's a random element to it or a fixed method to it. But he'll be a merchant for you. And if you're running low on supplies, because you're facing tough enemies that are NG plus in strength, you'll be able to restock with him. I don't know if he has any unique inventory, or if he has a special deal on anything or if he overcharges. But in the scenario I'm talking about, for instance, blood echoes are not going to be a quantity of issue for you, because chalice dungeons can be quite profitable. And especially if you're doing the fixed chalice dungeons created by the community, Zully the Witch and others. They're quite profitable. It took us like I don't know how many episodes to finally get that door, but we got it. Yeah, I'm curious as to what the rest of the community is going to say on the what the lecture building is, what it represents, what it was originally part of, things like that. Because, you know, like the consensus seems to be it's part of Bergenworth, but when you run around the building of Bergenworth, where would you put this? The only place you could put it is in the lower ladder that we saw, where we can climb up here, and there is no ladder entrance. If you look at, I should have looked at the ceiling, but there is no other place like that here. Or is it a distorted version, and there's only the one floor, and that climbs up to the rest of the Bergenworth College? I don't know. I'll see you all next time.